So today we're talking to Barbara Ryan. Barbara has been a student and a tutor in the School of Philosophy and Economic Science for many years. Barbara has also been a teacher at St. James, and in the last 10 years or so has taken up sacred geometry. So Barbara, tell us a little bit, what is sacred geometry?
Well, the study of sacred geometry is rooted in the study of the patterns of nature. It gives meaning behind the shapes that we know very well, and seeks to explore that.
And so what are the tools of the trade? You've got a few things here. Show us what you've got.
So this is the most important, the compass, a straight edge, and a pencil or something.
That's pretty simple.
So it's pretty simple. And lots of people have used a compass at some point in their life. Of course, you don't ever forget, do you? It's like riding a bike. You just have to have another go, and there it is.
So that sounds quite simple. Anybody can do it, presumably?
Anybody can do it, absolutely.
You just need enough manual dexterity to be able to manipulate the compass.
Yep.
All right, can you give us a demonstration?
Yes, of course. So one of the magical things about any radius is that it will divide a circle into 6 evenly. So just placing the point anywhere on the paper. And we'll be aware of that center point because we're going to be hitting that again. Just placing the point anywhere on that circumference. And then it's just simply repeating the same thing again. And that will go through the center. So we start with this very beautiful, we've got 2 circles overlapping and this magical shape, which is known as the vesica hibiscus.
This is the shape in the middle here.
That's right. And one of the properties of that shape, there are many, if you were to join a line from one tip to the other, you would divide that space evenly in half. So I'm going to continue where this intersection is. So in drawing that first circle, I've now got 2 points of possibility. So I'm going to put the compass point on one of those and just repeat the same thing again. And continuing around.
This looks very simple, but it's actually very accurate, isn't it? You really have to get the point on the intersection.
Yes, that's right. And you can see I'm changing my grip so that you can really get that on there with some precision. It looks like a small space, but really it's quite large and it's easy to miss with the point. Just change the shape as you go around, so it's important to remember where you've come from and where your center is. So then we have this beautiful petal diagram, it could be called, flower of creation. Simple, but very beautiful. You'll find this in many cultures around the world. It has been carved into stone. Leonardo da Vinci plays with this design and extends it. And it's full of possibility. Absolutely full of possibility.
It's amazingly beautiful, very simple, but actually quite attractive for the eye, isn't it? I think you've got a couple of examples where it's developed with colour.
Yes. So we've got this first one, which is quite simply just repeating and following the same steps. You just continue this outward. And this one?
Very different.
Very different. to the untrained eye, perhaps.
That's mine.
Finding the midpoint of the large petals will give us a new point, a new place to add a circle. So there's a hidden. So if you imagine a circle here, which is where we started with that drawing, and then we added 6, and if we could go in the middle of that petal shape, then we could add another one, and then this is just dividing it again and again, and then with the use of color you can sort of see how it brings it out into a 3D. So this always makes me think of dandelion heads, which are
Yes.
gone to seed.
Yes. Yes, beautiful.
So you find it everywhere, really.
Now, one of the main concepts in geometry, as I understand it, is the golden ratio. Can you say something about that?
Yes. Got a little. So here we have the golden spiral, which sits inside the golden rectangle, which is an expression of the golden ratio. So if you see this line here at the bottom, it's been cut. So Plato talks about cutting a line unevenly, so that the smaller section, so it's about relationships. The smaller section to the larger section is the same ratio as the larger section is to the whole. So we often think of ourselves as being separate, but perhaps this is not so. And this difference, this proportion allows for growth to happen.
And this looks like a shell and perhaps this pine cone here,
Yes,
like many
you find
patterns we see.
Spirals, pineapples,
Yes.
artichokes. I've not counted an artichoke, but I've counted plenty of spirals on shell, pine cones and pineapples. And then you would find the Fibonacci series. So, and there's always a spiral going one way and another way. So you've got the 5s and the 8s and the 13s, which are the Fibonacci numbers.
And is this what Leonardo drew with the human body as well?
Yes. So the golden ratio is found throughout the creation, and as we are part of that creation, it's in us. So there's, and even from an infant, sort of where the umbilical cord is, so that is, and it changes as the infant grows, so that it's the center of gravity, as it were, shifts, if you like. Even in the arm, for instance, you've got from the shoulder to the elbow, and the elbow to the wrist.
Yes.
So the shorter to the longer is equal to the longer to the whole. And in the hand, the face is full of golden relationships, and they say that the more apparently beautiful a face is, the nearer, it's all to do with the numbers, the nearer the shape of the face is to the sort of the numbers, the exact numbers of the golden ratio.
Oh, wow. So that's on a kind of human scale. And what about, we see photos of galaxies and so on. It presumably goes right up to the macro scale.
It does, actually. It does, which is kind of reassuring that there's sort of one set of laws. So here we just have a pentagon, which has been drawn within a vesica. And if you've got a pentagon, then you've got 5 points on the circle where you can connect, and then you make this pentagram star. And then another circle can be drawn where the shoulders of that star overlap. But how's this related to the universe, you might ask? So based on the research of others, this smaller circle is the mean size and orbit of Mercury, and whereas this is the mean size and orbit of Earth.
Yes, that is an astonishing fact, isn't it? And presumably it's the mean because they're elliptical orbits, so it's
That's
the
right. So
mean.
if you took the mean of that, you would have that relationship. Again, it's all about relationships, one thing to another.
So that implies that geometry really does run right through the whole universe, at macro and micro levels.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm only just beginning to uncover more of that and what it means and what relationship it has to philosophy, which is the other interest that I have.
So as you started on that, you're dealing with circles and centers and intersections. What do those mean to you?
Studying sacred geometry really has allowed me to explore more fully the unity behind the diversity that we find in life. And every drawing that I do holds that potential that one can consider the broader implications of what it is that you're creating.
What about intersections? Because you're dealing a lot with the intersection points of two lines and you make something of that.
Yes, so when you start with, you've got one circle and then you can add a second circle, and then what do you have? You've got these 2 points of intersection, and for geometry, those 2 points are the points where you can spring from. They're places of potential. Possibility exists there. Because it is such a lawful discipline, geometry, you have to proceed lawfully, and that also is a interesting. So this is a intersection. This meeting,
Yes.
us meeting today.
We're having an intersection.
We're having, and if we're awake and not in the past and not thinking about the future, if we're actually here, then it's a real meeting, and then, as we know, anything can happen, and that's the kind of the full creativity of when you meet anybody. Can you really meet them
Make the most of
as
that
they
potential.
are?
Yes.
Not
Yes.
as you've met them in the past, and etc.
Yes.
So it makes life creative, doesn't it?
Yes.
If you view it in that way.
So you've done this for quite a long time. Has this affected how you see the world? Do you go around counting things and looking at patterns?
Yes, and hubcaps. Take a look. Find out whether they're 5s, 8s, 10s, 12s, 4s. I saw recently. Flowers.
Sure.
Churches, the designs. You mentioned rose windows. Fascinating, and not only looking but taking snaps as well.
Yes. Yes.
There's a restaurant up the road on the railing of the patio has a geometric design that I've done that I've met before. So I was up there taking a photo earlier.
It's like meeting an old friend.
Yes. Yes.
So people come to your course or they come on a retreat, and how do they benefit? What do they find?
So they enjoy the creativity, and it's fascinating if 2 people complete a drawing, and it could be quite an advanced drawing or something quite simple that we've seen today. Add a bit of color, changes the thing totally. So, and to see that, they're so wonderful that from one image you get a real expression of someone's creativity. So that act of creating something is very satisfying, no matter what you're creating. The other thing that people have said, and I've experienced myself, is the stillness which arises from sustained attention to a drawing. And as some of them are quite complex, you really do need to mind where you are.
Yeah.
And very often I find myself saying to people, you need to know where your center is.
Yes.
Relate things back to the center, and from there you can then go out to find where we are. So again, that has resonances for me in philosophy as well, to know where your center is, and then you can move out confidently and with stability.
And I presume for many people doing this kind of drawing, it would make them also see the order in nature and these patterns and so on that, underlie all the phenomena that we see.
Yes, I met a woman recently who I met on a retreat and then signed up for one of the courses, and she described with great delight going out and looking at her neighborhood like she's never seen it before.
Yes.
Which is very inspiring, and again, something that is very akin to my own experience of having been involved with sacred geometry.
So let me just ask you as a sort of final question, what has sacred geometry given you? How has that changed your outlook? Has it changed your life?
It's given so much. Again, it wasn't something that I sort of went out to find. It really sort of seemed to have found me. The first thing I was struck by was the beauty. Being able to create something that is beautiful has been a very moving experience for me, and then developing it and pursuing it and doing a number of courses, and then almost at the point of sort of putting it to the side, and then the opportunity to then pass on what had been learned was so inspiring and so enriching, and to be involved in something that is beautiful, that engenders attention and stillness and contentment. Who doesn't need that?
Too right.
So I couldn't think of a more perfect thing to spend my time doing.
Thank you so much, Barbara. Thank you for sharing your tremendous enthusiasm on this fascinating subject.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
Pleasure.